In my teaching, I realize that I say more about ethics with my actions than I do with my words. And so that means all the time I'm thinking about how am I behaving and in what ways am I embodying being an ethical person? But what does that mean, being an ethical person? So for me, in the classroom with all its noise and complexity, I like to simplify it down to three things, right? Thinking ethically and understanding ethics means thinking about good and bad. It means thinking about right and wrong. And it means thinking about benefits and harms. So all the time I'm thinking about in what ways is my behavior embodying stuff that's good, right, and beneficial. But that isn't always the case. Sometimes stuff comes into my classroom that's bad, wrong, and potentially harmful. So I've got a radar for that complex phenomenon. So in my practice, I try to focus on three things that are really practical and that help me enact an authentic, ethical self in my education practice. Number one, it's that topic of identity, right? My choices matter. My choices of texts, tools, and technologies have ethical components. So am I making the right choices, and are my students making the right choices? Because right now we're in this kind of culture with guilty pleasures, right? We've got choices we make that aren't always good. There are things we do at home in our families that are bad choices, poor choices, choices we feel guilty about, but boy, I want to live an integrated life, reflecting on my choices. So I pull back the curtain with my students when I have a guilty pleasure. Say, I really, found myself looped into the Kardashians again. Didn't feel good about it, but I want to reflect on how I think about the choices I make with my digital texts, my digital tools, and my digital technologies. Second big idea is respect for authors, subjects, and audiences. I want to demonstrate to my students that I respect the subjects that I bring into the classroom, the authors that I bring into the classroom, and I want to demonstrate respect for the users, consumers, and audiences who make interpretations. And there I want to use good faith practices in honoring diverse interpretations. I don't want to pigeonhole anybody, and I don't want to label anybody, and I'm really careful about how my words can stereotype. My words can do harm, right? My interpretations can be flawed, bad, unethical. And so I want to create a learning space where I try to bring a multi-perspectival thinking and reasoning and demonstrate lots of respect and lots of humility, aware of the limitations and incompleteness of my own interpretive process. Third, so first, number one, identity. Second, number one, respect for authors, audiences, and subjects. And number three, responsibility. As students write, they must discover the power of taking responsibility for the words they use, for the images they use, for the multimedia that they select. And in some ways, the crisis of our age right now is realizing that the choices we make don't just affect us, they affect the whole society, because viral sharing creates culture. So my simple act to like or share has a profound impact on shaping the whole society. That enlarged sense of responsibility creates a lot of awareness. And